The first time I experienced technology that was meant to help with accessibility was when I got prosthetic legs. Now, after my legs were amputated at the age of 5, the doctors said every kid wants to walk, so you should try some prosthetic legs. So my family and I said, sure. And we went to the place where you get them done. And for me, I had to get completely naked, which is very uncomfortable as a little kid. And they had to make a mold of my body from my waist down. And then once they make that mold, they cut a hole in the front and the back for your cash and prizes. And then they sit this bucket on top of these metal rods that have fake, almost like mannequin feet on the bottom. And then you put shoes on them. And of course you put pants on the legs so you couldn't see the metal rods. And then I would sit my body in the bucket. And my first pair of prosthetic legs, I had a walker. And how they worked is I would hold onto the walker and I would have to lean to one side and use what's left of my leg here to push the leg forward from the bucket, hold onto the walker, then lean on the other side, push that leg and try to move the walker at the same time. It was so difficult. Now I started using these in school about, I think it was grade 1 or grade 2, I got a new pair of prosthetic legs. The technology had changed. By this time it was, I would say, almost the 90s. Similar thing, even more awkward when you go. Had to get naked, had to make a mold of my body, did the cutouts, and this sat again on top of 2 metal bars with feet. But this time, they had padding that went around the metal bars, so they kind of looked like legs. It looked kind of flesh tone. And these legs in particular had some new technology. You were able to bend the knees to be able to sit down. Now, this sounds great, but it was so difficult to use. So you had to be able to back up against a chair. And at this point, I was no longer using a walker. I was using crutches. And I was working with a physical therapist twice a week. So to sit down, you would have to steady yourself with your crutches. Then there were 2 sort of buttons on the bucket that you would push that then allowed the bucket to tilt forward. And then while you're still holding yourself and tilting forward, there was a little pulley off to the right here, and you would pull that, and then the knee would bend. And on the same side, there was another pulley, and the knee would bend, and you had to slowly try to lower yourself into the chair and hope the chair didn't move. It was a cool idea, but they were so difficult to use. And I couldn't use them all the time, all day, because I had learned how to balance myself with crutches, but I needed to be in a space where there was lots of room, where people couldn't bump into me. Because if even someone walked close near me, I would sometimes lose my balance and fall over. Now, I could easily fall out of the bucket and catch myself on my hands, but then there's just this pair of legs standing there, and I couldn't wear underwear inside the bucket. I had to be commando, so if I fell out, I wasn't gonna have any clothes on. I mean, my shirt would cover everything. But all this to say, prosthetic legs are super helpful for a lot of people, but this technology at the time was not helpful for me. It was so much easier to get around on my hands and use a wheelchair. Now, thank goodness technology's come a long way since the 1980s, specifically when it comes to accessibility. Here are a couple examples. I have a smart lock that will lock and unlock the door hands-free. Electric blinds that go up and down by themselves. My light bulbs are accessible tech. And what's wild is all of these things that I just showed you can be controlled by my voice, my phone, or more specifically, they can all be controlled by my watch. And recently I had the opportunity to chat about technology and accessibility with Apple's Senior Director of Product Marketing for Apple Watch, Deidre Caldbeck. Deidre, it's so nice to see you again.
It's so great to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, so I want to just jump in, and the first thing that I really want to know is, what do you think are some of the biggest ways Apple Watch has made a positive impact?
So we, from the beginning, really designed Apple Watch to make an impact on people's lives. And that is across health features, fitness features, safety features, even staying connected, we think can really make an impact on people's lives. So of course we hear stories where users say that they discovered a heart health condition because they received an alert on their watch, and that was something that they wouldn't have otherwise known they had. Or maybe they found themselves in a situation where fall detection allowed them to get the help that they needed from emergency services or put them in touch with their emergency contacts. So those are, of course, the most remarkable stories that we hear from users. But it's also the stories that we hear from users who say that, because they found that the activity rings motivated them to stay active every day throughout the day. that they had these small changes over time that had a huge impact on their lifestyle, and they made behavior changes, and those are some of the ways that I think are really profound on how Apple Watch can make an impact.
So I'm curious, as a wheelchair user myself, I've obviously love all the accessible features, but at what point in the development of the Apple Watch was accessibility considered?
Well, we design all of our products with accessibility in mind, and it's really integral to every stage of the process, from design to launch, because we do believe that the best technology should work for everyone. And wheelchair workouts are a great example. For us, it was important to make sure all our users have the opportunity to track their workouts. So we do try to build Apple Watch to reflect the many ways that people stay healthy and active.
Absolutely. And I think for me, just as a user myself, when that became available, it was like, and I might have shared this with you before, but I feel so compelled to share it again.
Please.
I just felt so seen. Like, I felt like someone saw me, someone understood that I was valuable and important, and that also wanted to be able to participate with wearable technology. And so it was like, it just felt like such a gift. And I just felt so seen. So just thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you, of course, for using the feature, and we of course always appreciate feedback and other ways that we can enhance these capabilities for the community. So thank you.
I'm curious, what accessible features on Apple Watch are you most excited about?
So, as I mentioned earlier, from the beginning, we did want to make an impact on people's lives, and it was designed to help users stay, active, healthy, connected, and we do design the features to work for everyone. And you see that in features like Assistive Touch, which let users with limb differences control Apple Watch with gestures like pinching their fingers or making a fist, or VoiceOver helps blind and low vision users know what's going on screen. And that's in addition to the features that let you change text size, reduce screen motion. So there's a whole plethora of features that I think are really great for accessibility users, and that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, the gestures for me were so helpful to be able, even as a wheelchair user, even though I have both of my hands, to be able to be hands-free and not have to use my phone and still be able to access my watch and use some of those features has been so helpful.
Good.
I'm curious, and I don't know if you can share anything, but is there anything that you can tell us about future accessible tech in Apple Watch?
Well, we are always going to make sure that products we make are valuable to a wide spectrum of users around the world. So that does mean that accessibility will continue to be an integral part of the design of Apple Watch, and we will continue to find ways to enhance and improve existing features, but also find new ways to make a device like Apple Watch more impactful, more accessible, and frankly more fun for everyone to use. So we will continue to push the boundaries on that, and again, with feedback from folks like you, that will continue to inspire and motivate us to do more for Apple Watch users that are in the community. So keep sending us that feedback.
Absolutely. And then I'm just curious, what is your favorite way to close your rings? What do you do?
So I would say there's two ways I'll answer that. One is the way I probably typically close my rings, which is trying to take the stairs at work and walking the dog. Those tend to be the typical ways I close my rings. There are days and weeks that I would say I'm a little bit more active. I'm doing indoor cycling, or I'm doing HIIT workouts. I love the Fitness Plus workouts, so I do a lot of their strength training and HIIT workouts on Fitness Plus. But I will say most recently, I've been, maybe like a lot of people, I've been playing pickleball. So I play pickleball with my mom and my sisters and brother-in-law. We're all, and my daughter. We're all getting, we're jumping on the pickleball bandwagon. And I played with some coworkers this past weekend, which was pretty fun because we actually have pickleball courts here at Apple Park now. So that has become a really fun way to close my rings.
That's awesome. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time and for all that you do to make folks like myself in the disability community to feel seen and to be a part of the experience and to benefit from all of the tech that comes with wearable technology, and specifically with the Apple Watch. And I'm really excited for what's coming in the future.
Me too. And Spencer, thank you so much for your time and your enthusiasm and your support. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, it's my pleasure. Although my journey with technology and accessibility started out a bit rocky in the 80s, now in 2025, it has revolutionized the way that I navigate the world and my home and has made it much more accessible. Having a smart home and having the door unlock on its own hands-free, specifically when I'm carrying groceries or other things, is so helpful. Being able to control the blinds in my home with my voice or other smart devices, so helpful. Having the ability to control the lights in my home with smart devices or my voice is so helpful. Like, I could probably stretch and reach to turn this lamp on in my living room, but it's so much easier just to do it with my voice. And these light bulbs last a lot longer than a normal light bulb would. On top of that, having a smartphone and wearable technology allows me to be hands-free out in the community. Having a virtual assistant that can help me respond to texts or listen to text without having to get my phone out and try to push my wheelchair with one hand and look at my phone with another. Revolutionary. And having wearable technology that not only makes the world more accessible for me, but also was designed for me. Instead of tracking how many steps I take, it tracks how many times I push my wheelchair. Some of the workout features are pushing your wheelchair or running in your wheelchair. This is the type of accessibility and inclusion that we're talking about. And having something that is universal design that can be adapted for folks like myself, it makes me feel seen and it makes me feel like I matter. And that might seem silly to all of you, but to someone like me who didn't have access to these kind of things before, it's a big deal. And truthfully, I'm really excited to see where technology and accessibility goes next. All right, folks, thanks for hanging out today. I look forward to seeing you next week. As per usual, if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what to do. Bye.